You think monkeys are just funny creatures? Jumping from tree to tree, making noise, copying humans for entertainment? Then stop right here, because what you're about to hear is not just interesting, it's disturbing. The truth is, the more scientists study monkeys, the more one question becomes impossible to ignore. Where does the line between them and us actually exist? And by the end of this video, that line might completely disappear in your mind. Here are 5 shocking facts about monkeys, explained in full detail. And stay until the end, because the last one will change the way you see intelligence forever. First fact, monkeys are aware of themselves. Not all animals are. In fact, most animals live their entire lives without ever realizing that they exist as individuals. They react, they survive, they move, but they don't know themselves. Monkeys are different. In one of the most famous scientific tests, researchers placed a mirror in front of chimpanzees. At first, the monkeys reacted as if they were seeing another animal. They showed curiosity, sometimes even aggression. But then, something changed, slowly, and they began to observe, to analyze, to test. And eventually, they understood. That reflection was not another monkey. It was them. But scientists didn't stop there. They placed a hidden mark on the monkey's face, something it couldn't see without a mirror. And when the monkey looked at the reflection, it reached to its own face. Not the mirror, its own face. That single action changed everything, because it proved something extraordinary: self-awareness, the ability to recognize yourself as an individual, separate from the world. Think about that for a second. This is the same ability that humans use to build identity, to think about themselves, to reflect on their own existence. And yet, monkeys can do it too. So now ask yourself, if an animal knows that it exists, how far is it really from being like us? Second fact, monkeys don't just make sounds, they communicate. And not in a simple way, in a structured, meaningful, almost linguistic way. In the wild, survival depends on one thing above all: information, and monkeys have mastered it. Certain species have been observed using completely different calls depending on the type of predator. When they see a snake, they produce a specific sound. When they see an eagle, a different one. When danger comes from the ground, another signal. And what's truly fascinating is not just the sound itself, it's the reaction. Every member of the group responds differently depending on the call. If it's an eagle, they look up or hide under cover. If it's a snake, they stand and scan the ground. If it's a land predator, they climb trees or run. That means one thing: they understand the message. This is not random noise. This is communication with meaning, but it goes even deeper. Some studies suggest that monkeys can combine sounds to create variations in meaning, almost like combining words. Primitive sentences, structured alerts, a system that begins to resemble language. Now think about what language really is: a way to transfer information, to warn, to teach, to connect. And monkeys are doing it. If you're starting to see monkeys differently already, subscribe right now, because what comes next will challenge everything you thought you knew. Third fact, monkeys don't just use tools, they innovate. Using a tool is one thing, but understanding which tool to use, when, and how, that's intelligence. In some regions, monkeys have been observed selecting specific stones to crack open nuts. Not randomly. They test, they choose, they reject unsuitable ones. They prefer stones with the right weight, the right hardness, and they use them repeatedly. But here's where it becomes even more impressive. They don't just use tools, they improve them. Branches are stripped of leaves, adjusted, refined, optimized for a specific task. That means planning, understanding, problem solving, and it doesn't stop there. Young monkeys don't automatically know how to do this. They learn by watching older monkeys, by trying, by failing, by trying again. This process can take years, just like human learning. And over time, These behaviors become traditions, passed from one generation to another. Different groups of monkeys even develop different techniques, different cultures, yes, culture, in animals. Now pause for a second. Innovation, learning, teaching, transmission. Those are not basic survival behaviors. Those are advanced cognitive processes, and monkeys are doing all of them. Fourth fact, monkeys feel deeply. We often think animals feel only basic emotions, fear, hunger, instinct, but monkeys go far beyond that. They form strong social bonds, friendships, alliances, family connections. And when those connections break, they suffer. There have been documented cases where monkeys stay next to the body of a deceased member, refusing to leave, touching them, observing them, as if trying to understand what happened. Some even change behavior for days. They eat less, they move less, they isolate themselves. This looks very similar to grief, but that's not all. In controlled experiments, monkeys were given rewards for completing simple tasks. But when one monkey saw another receiving a better reward for the same effort, something incredible happened. They refused to participate. They rejected the reward. They showed frustration. Why? Because they perceived injustice, unfairness. That means they have expectations, comparisons, emotional reactions to inequality. Think about that. Fairness is not a simple concept. It requires awareness of others, of effort, of outcome, and monkeys understand it. So ask yourself this: if an animal can feel loss, react to injustice, and form deep emotional bonds, is it still just an animal? Fifth fact, and this is where it becomes truly unsettling: monkeys can deceive, manipulate, and plan ahead. Yes, they don't just react to the moment, they think beyond it. In some observations, monkeys have been seen hiding food when others are watching and retrieving it later when they are alone. That means they understand what others can see, what others know. They adjust their behavior accordingly. That's called theory of mind, the ability to understand that others have their own thoughts and perspectives. And it's a cornerstone of human intelligence. But it gets even more complex. Some monkeys pretend not to notice food, so others don't compete for it. Others form alliances, temporary partnerships, to gain advantage in conflicts. They calculate social relationships. Who is strong, who is useful, who can be trusted or betrayed. This is not instinct, this is strategy, long-term thinking, decision-making based on social dynamics. In other words, a primitive form of society. If this shocked you, subscribe now, because the deeper you go into animal intelligence, the more reality becomes uncomfortable. And now, take a step back. Look at everything you've just heard: self-awareness, communication, tools and culture, emotions, strategy. These are not random traits. These are the foundations of what we call human intelligence. And monkeys have them all. So the real question is no longer, are monkeys intelligent? But this: how close are they to us? And maybe even more disturbing, are we as unique as we think? Tell me in the comments, what do you think truly separates humans from monkeys? And be honest, after everything you've learned today, does that difference still feel as big as it did before?